Welcome into another edition of Chalk Talk. Nick Camino joined by Ben Axelrod. And Ben, it's always great to see you. It's always great to toss these around because we're already into week 12 of college football, which is hard to believe.
Crazy.
Week 11 of the NFL. Time is flying. We've got the college football playoff selections that have been coming out, the rankings. And there's new ones this week. And then you've got the NFL kind of taking shape. We're starting to see those graphics of, the division, wild card, in the hunt graphic. It's that time of year where I think that we're starting to get maybe some clarity in both NFL and college.
Yeah, and especially I think in college, now that we have that LSU-Alabama game out of the way, now that we have, an outcome on that with LSU winning against the Crimson Tide last week. And I did a story for WKYC.com this week breaking down the Browns' playoff chances after beating the Bills. And
that's all it took was one win.
You look at that in the mix, and it's a whole bunch of 5-4 and 4-6 and 3-6 teams, and all bunched together there. And with the way the Browns' second half of the schedule shakes out, it's I wouldn't say promising based on the hole they've put themselves in, but it might not be long until they're in the hunt in that graphic.
They could definitely enter into that. There is a debate, it seems like, in college of who's the best team, and I've said for the longest time with this new playoff format, I think we get into this a little bit too much because 4 teams are going to make it. But there's a debate now, LSU versus Ohio State, who's the best team in the country. And I think with the naked eye, in looking at it, I still feel like it's Ohio State. But, man, the resume of LSU, that is hard to argue with.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to argue with. And, watching LSU-Alabama, that was, I picked Alabama and was intently watching that game for a multitude of reasons, including that I'm a big NFL draft fan, and you have Joe Burrow.
No shortage of NFL talent on that field.
Lots of that's pretty much like one of 3 games you need to watch to scout the NFL draft at this point. But the way Joe Burrow picked apart Alabama was one of the most, dominating performances I can remember of a quarterback in quite some time. So I'd give the edge to LSU right now just because they have the resume and they have passed the eyeball test. Ohio State certainly passes the eyeball test. I mean, they are blowing through their schedule. They have a handful of ranked wins. It's just I think LSU's ranked wins are that much more impressive. But, I think at this point, LSU, Ohio State have kind of separated themselves from the pack. And then you've got Clemson. You've got Alabama still going to be right there. They're going to be knocking on the door, if not still in the top 4. Oklahoma's still hanging around. So it's going to be interesting to see the way these next few weeks shake out with the top 4 in the playoff. But, right now I think it's LSU, Ohio State 1-2.
All right, let's do a quick review of last week and then in the season as a whole. Again, we're looking at week 12 of college football, week 11 of the NFL, but we'll just do a quick recap. We're doing this through the lens that is sports gambling, all of it for entertainment purposes only. We'll have some picks coming up in just a second here. But just to review, Ben, last week for you, you end up going 2-4 overall. I end up going 3-3 overall. Yeah. So season totals were kind of right in the same ballpark, right?
Yeah, I'm at 28, 30, and 2. You're at 27, 29, and 4.
Can't get over 500?
No, I've been hovering around the 500 line now for about a month, so it was only a matter of time before I fell below it. But I know we have at least one disagreement this week. We had 2 last week and split
that always seems
on those
to happen.
2 games. So was sweating out that Monday night game last night, or on Monday between the Seahawks and the 49ers. But this, especially college has been so tough this year. It seems like we've had these massive lines in all of these games, but I feel a little bit better about this week, so we'll see.
I always feel like the NFL right now, they've gotten it down so good to like what the line is going to be, what the total is going to be. I've always felt the NFL is a little more difficult than college, which is why I think our college records to me are surprising how tough it's been.
Yeah, NFL, they just catch up so quickly, the odds makers do, and I think we've seen that here.
Not as many teams.
Yeah, heading into the second half of the schedule, buys, so much more information, so much more data. You don't have that. September is really where you can kind of make your bones. If you have strong feelings and you're correct about those feelings, you hopefully have an edge you get to November, there's really no edge to be found.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's give our picks. Again, these are for entertainment purposes only. Week 12 of college, week 11 of the NFL. We'll start with me on the college side of things. I'm going to go with the Indiana Hoosiers getting 14.5 at Penn State.
Well, we agree on this one, so let's do this one together.
Cool. We'll do this one together. Great agreement. Finally, Ben agrees with me on something.
So we both have Indiana plus 14.5 at Penn State.
My whole thought on this is Penn State just came off a tough loss. Maybe they're feeling a little bit down about themselves. Indiana, what people might not realize, they're ranked in the top 25. At least in the AP poll, they were ranked.
First time since 1994, I think.
Yeah, I mean they're
Trent Green
7-2 on the season. They weren't even ranked that high when Randall L was playing quarterback there. So I think it's Tom Allen is the head coach there. They've done a nice job with that program. It's not always we're talking about Indiana when it comes to football, but they've done a really nice job there. Last year they played this game. It was a very tough game. They lost 33-28. I feel like both teams bring a lot of those same pieces back. And if I'm getting 14.5 points, I think you're in agreement here, Ben. You are in agreement. If you're getting 14.5, we're not saying they got to win the game, but we think they'll be competitive.
So the argument against this would be that this is a bounce back spot for Penn State. The Penn State's still in the hunt in the Big Ten East. They just need to win this game and go beat Ohio State. And everything they want is still ahead of them. Having said that, I went back and looked at the numbers of how Penn State has fared after a loss against the spread since James Franklin took over in 2014. These numbers were shocking.
I like this.
Since 2014, against the spread after a loss, Penn State is 3-13-2.
Wow.
Worst in college football.
Wow.
Since 2015. I thought maybe that was an aberration because James Franklin comes in. Who knows how that year went.
Yep.
Maybe it just kind of skewed that record. Since 2015, 1-10-1 against the spread after a loss. Since 2016, 1-5-1 against the spread.
We've got a nice trend on our side.
So I like the trend. And since 2017, when Tom Allen took over Indiana, the Hoosiers are 4-6-1 against the spread versus ranked teams. So not a winning record, but about 500.
Yeah.
So, it's not like they have some horrendous record against the spread against ranked teams. So I just like the trends in this game more than anything.
They played well. I mean, Indiana, that's a respectable program now.
Yeah.
They've done a nice job there in the last couple of years. So both of us on the side with the Hoosiers, Indiana getting 14.5. Next game, so we'll just get into my last two then. Next game for me will be Wake Forest getting 33 points at Clemson. To me, one of the best secrets in college football has been the Wake Forest Demon Deacons quarterback, Jamie Newman. This kid's really a nice player. I don't know how many people are familiar with him. And I think in these types of games, if you have one or two players that can, we know on paper Clemson is a much deeper team. They're a much better team. They're faster. They're just everything. But I think sometimes if you have that dominant player, maybe one of the best players on the field for the entire game, and he happens to play quarterback, I think it can be a difference maker. I think 33 points is just way too high here. I thought maybe it would be at 21 or maybe 28. I think 33 is a lot to give Wake Forest. Dave Clawson's done a nice job there. I know they didn't play well last week. They lost to Virginia Tech. I think this is a little bit of an overreaction to that. And I think Wake Forest has a chance to keep this game a lot closer than 33 points. I really do.
Yeah, Clemson's been sluggish this season at times, kind of that classic national title hangover we saw with Ohio State in 2015. We've seen it with a couple of the Alabama teams, it seems like. Looking at the Heisman odds, Joe Burrow, runaway favorite right now, I think minus 1,000. Some of the quarterbacks, Justin Fields, Jalen Hurts, and I think Tua are 10-1, so still hanging around. Chase Young obviously fell off the board with his suspension, but Trevor Lawrence nowhere to be found, and he was the Heisman front runner entering the season. So that kind of goes to show you, Clemson fifth in the college football playoff after entering the season, number one defending national champion. So, going back to last week when I foolishly picked Maryland plus 43 points against Ohio State, the thinking was you just need them to score once or twice.
That's right.
They wound up doing that, and it wasn't enough. But
that's right.
Even more so here with the 33-point spread against the Clemson offense that hasn't been as dynamic as the Buckeyes. You always kind of hold your breath for these big spreads.
Sure.
But yeah, you just need them to score once or twice, and hopefully that's it.
Yeah, so that's all you need in that spot. Wake Forest, the last 10 years as an away underdog, have gone about 500. So, it could be a toss-up in that way. Last game for me will be Baylor getting 10. I will go back to the Baylor because they were good to me. Last week they had to go to triple overtime to win that game and cover that game against TCU. But they're at home. They're a home dog. College game day will be in Waco. We talked last week on the show how nice of a job Matt Rule has done there, especially when you think about what that program was coming off of and what he was taking over, leaving Temple to go to Baylor. They have the best defense in the Big 12, getting 10 points. I do think Oklahoma can win the game, but I think Baylor at 10 at home. Brewer's been a nice quarterback for them. Again, best defense in the Big 12. I like Baylor getting 10 points with all eyes at college football in Waco.
My concern here is that Matt Rule buzz is building. And it's building to the point that I'm hearing his name mentioned for Florida State. I'm hearing his name mentioned for USC.
Yeah.
And you never know how a program like that is going to handle those rumors circulating around the program. You never know if there's smoke to the fire. And if Matt Rule is spending more time on the phone with his agent this week than game planning for the Sooners, who knows how it shakes out. But for me, I'm not educated enough on the Big 12 to pick a side. But yeah, I mean, the logic is certainly there as far as how well Baylor has played.
Now, though.
Yeah, I don't know.
This guy's won everywhere he's been, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'd ride that Matt Rule train.
Yeah. All right. So we'll take. I'm going to take Baylor plus 10. So just to review, Indiana and Ben has agreement here. Indiana getting 14.5 against Penn State. Wake Forest getting 33 at Clemson, and Baylor at home getting 10 against Oklahoma. Ben?
Yeah.
Your 3 college picks. We know one of them already.
Yep. So I've got Indiana plus 14.5 at Penn State. Along those same lines, I've got Mississippi State though plus 21.5 versus Alabama.
At home?
This is in Stark County. I don't feel great about this pick, but going back to the trends.
They're getting over 3 touchdowns.
They're getting 21.5 points. This is a great bounce back spot for Alabama. I can't deny that. Everything they want, including the national title, still right ahead of them. But you just need them to cover. And Alabama, after a loss against the spread since 2007 when Nick Saban came there first, 4-12.
Wow.
Since 2009 when he really got the program rolling, 3-6. Since 2011, 1-5. So not against the spread, not great at bouncing back after these losses. Now there's not a big sample size, but still a trend to follow nonetheless.
Yeah, and I think about that game they played against LSU. Physical, emotional, all that stuff. All of a sudden you're kicking off at, I think it's 11 o'clock in the morning in Mississippi.
Yeah.
I mean, the logic there is not crazy.
Yeah.
So. All you need is a touchdown or two.
You might need more than that against Tua. But MSU coming off a 54-24 win over Arkansas, so they can score. They can hang
and they're
with
coming
them.
off a bye.
Yeah, so. Tommy Stevens, their quarterback. Penn State transfer, a highly recruited kid. So I think there's some talent there. So 21.5, I don't feel great about it, but I'm going to follow the trends on this one.
I'm with you.
And then my last pick, Michigan, minus 14 versus Michigan State.
Rivalry game.
Yeah. Michigan's been rolling, won 5 of their last 6. Michigan State has not been rolling. They've lost 4 straight. Better talent overall on Michigan. And this is really just a bet on Michigan State's season and, quite frankly, their program falling apart. You're starting to hear about the Mark D'Antonio, and will he be there for the long haul? Will they force him out? Will he retire? That stuff is poisonous for a program. In a 14-point spread for Michigan, I think this is, Jim Harbaugh has this program after their struggles early in the season and losing to Penn State. He has this Wolverine team rolling, and who knows how much steam they'll pick up heading into that November 30th game against Ohio State.
I was telling you, for Buckeye fans, I'm starting to get a little bit nervous about that game, but as you pointed out too, we'll believe it when we see it that Michigan has done that. But all the points you make on this are spot on. Michigan State blew a late lead to Illinois, a total collapse. Illinois has had a nice season, but I think Michigan's better on both sides of the football. And right now, Michigan's probably playing the best football they've played this year.
Yep, totally agree.
All right, so to recap your 3 college picks.
I've got Indiana plus 14.5 at Penn State. I've got Mississippi State plus 21.5 versus Alabama, and I've got Michigan minus 14 versus Michigan State.
Our picks against the spread for entertainment purposes only for Week 12 of college football. All right, let's go to Week 11 of the NFL. Ben, you've got 3 of them for us.
Yes, I'm going to start with the Texans plus 4.5 at the Ravens. Texans coming off a bye. getting healthy. Will Fuller, when he is a part of that Texans offense, adds a completely different dynamic for them. And Deshaun Watson, it looks like he's going to play. He practiced on Monday. Ravens coming off 3 straight blowouts. I think they're due for a letdown.
Yeah.
It's tough in the NFL to just keep winning at a high level and keep winning by double digits. Texans are 6-3 this season, and all 3 of those losses have come by only 1 score. So this isn't a Texans team that gets blown out a lot. I think this is a statement spot too for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
All this buzz about Lamar Jackson and the MVP. Deshaun Watson's right there with him and Russell Wilson as far as the top quarterbacks in this league this season. I just like this as a statement spot. The Ravens, we know they're good at beating bad teams.
Yep.
We know they can pummel teams like the Bengals and the Dolphins into the ground. I know they had the big win over the Patriots a couple of weeks ago, but I just think it's a lot to keep playing at that level, and the Texans coming off the bye. I just think, the Ravens might win this game, but I think if they do, it's going to be by a field goal.
All right, next, the line that we have is Texans getting 4.5
yes.
for that one. Okay, next game for you.
I've got the Patriots -4 at the Eagles. Patriots also coming off a bye and in a big bounce back spot after that loss to the Ravens. Eagles have just been up and down all season. They've been blown out their last 2 losses by 27 points and 18 losses, or 18 points. Patriots are 8-1, and 7 of those wins have come by double digits. This is a Patriots team that just rolls.
They'll want to bounce back.
Yeah, they'll want to bounce back in this spot on the road at Philly, a revenge game maybe from the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. So I just think Patriots, I think only being favored by, if I can get the Patriots at less than a touchdown at this point in the season, I'm going to take it probably until I'm proven otherwise.
Yeah, probably some value there.
Yes.
Your last game now we have disagreement on, right?
We have disagreement on this one.
This is Monday Night Football.
Monday Night Football in Mexico City. I've got the Chiefs -4 versus the Los Angeles Chargers. Bounce back spot for the Chiefs after blowing that game to the Titans this week. I just don't think the Chargers have the firepower to keep pace in this game. Everybody on that Chiefs offense, whether it's Damian Williams, whether it's Tyreek Hill, whether it's Mecole Hardman, just seems to run like a 4-3, 4-2, 40.
Yeah, they've got like 12 guys that run a 4-2-9.
Yeah, it's crazy. Factor in Travis Kelce, who got going a little bit last week. Patrick Mahomes, I think you'll see an even better version of him if that's possible as he continues to get healthier. And I just haven't been impressed with the Chargers. In my weekly picks, I usually pick them on WKYC.com, and they've let me down so much that I'm just kind of done with it. So Chargers, one of a few teams that still haven't had their bye this season.
Ooh,
they've played 10
running
games.
on fumes a little.
Running on fumes, older quarterback, Phillip Rivers, looks like he's getting ready to fall off a cliff. So Chiefs by 4 in this game for me, but you're taking the Chargers +4.
Yeah, and so my thought on this was they got a little bit of extra time before going to Mexico City.
They played the Thursday night game last week.
Thursday night, lost that tough one against Oakland. And my whole thought was these 2 teams, it's a divisional game. They split last year, both went 1-1. Remember that big game? Mm-hmm. I think it was in Kansas City that the Chargers were able to win. They're getting 4 points. I see it as a tough, grinded out game where both teams are keeping it close. And what I was banking on is even if the Chiefs win, the Chargers find a way to cover that number, whether it's a field goal or not. Yeah. So I don't know. The Chiefs,
there's something missing with that team.
It's amazing to me that you could have all the offensive talent that you talked about, and defensively, they could just have still so many issues. I mean, you saw a Titans team that, I know they put up 40 against the Browns early in the year, but for the most part, that offense hasn't been a high-octane offense, and they're just rolling right up and down the field at the end of that game. And I'm very surprised that even an offensive mind like Andy Reid, that they would not do more to address that defense. And I feel like when it comes down to playoff time, the Chiefs, as talented as they are offensively, I really think that defense is going to come back to haunt them.
Well, and I think one of the big advantages that they've had looking ahead is playing at Arrowhead is one of the more imposing home field advantages. They're 6-4. They're not going to have home field now throughout the AFC playoffs like that you saw last year.
Going on the road.
The Patriots had to come to Arrowhead for that AFC title game that went to overtime. They're going to be, if they make it to the AFC title game, they're going to be going out to Foxborough this year, if not playing the Patriots earlier. Because I don't know if they're going to be one of the top 2 seeds.
That second weekend.
Yeah, it might be Baltimore with that 2 seed.
So I'll go with the Chargers just based on I think it's going to be a close game. My other 2 games, we're going to go with the Browns while they're hot. Why not?
I thought about this game a lot.
I picked against them last week. I was wrong. You picked them. You were right. I just feel like this is a spot where the Steelers, I know they've played well, and I give them a lot of credit, especially Mike Tomlin with losing Big Ben. They go out there, they beat the Rams and everything, but it's a short week. The Browns kind of feel like they needed just a win, even if it was very ugly like the Buffalo one was, to kind of get them going in the right direction. I'll take Baker Mayfield over Mason Rudolph. I'll take the Browns offense over the Steelers offense. I know that Steelers defense has been tough, but I don't know if they're going to be able to score much on the Browns. So I'm going to go with the Browns minus 2.5 against the Steelers.
Yeah, like I said, I thought about this game a lot. I was at the game obviously on Sunday in the locker room after the game, and you did feel like like a load got taken off the Browns' shoulders, that they just needed a win, like you said.
Didn't matter if it was ugly or
dominant. They just needed a win to get over the hump, to get off that 4-game losing streak, and maybe that helps turn around the season, especially with the schedule they have ahead. My counter, though.
I thought I was going to get some agreement with you. I thought you were going to pick this guy. I thought you were going to take the Browns. I was thinking like Ben. I was like,
this is why I couldn't pick it. Is
let's see, why were you hesitant?
Mike Tomlin versus Freddie Kitchens. Oof. That's too big of a advantage for the Steelers at this point with what we've seen from both teams. Mike Tomlin doing one of the best coaching jobs in the NFL to have this Steelers team at 5-4 without Ben Roethlisberger.
Really
and counter
without Antonio Brown, without Le'Veon Bell. I mean, they've been better without those guys.
And on the flip side, the Browns, from a record standpoint, have been one of the more disappointing teams.
True. And
a lot of that blame has gone to Freddie Kitchens. My worry is watching Minkah Fitzpatrick anchor that Steelers defense, what he could do to a turnover-prone team like the Browns. So for me, it's a stay away. I won't really be surprised by either outcome.
Browns, knowing my luck, will find a way to win the game. It'll be by a point or two, and I'll lose. But the Browns are minus 2.5. I like them against Steelers. The other game, because we told you I'm already with the Chargers getting 4. I'm going to go with the Jets plus 1.5 against the Redskins in an awful game. I'm not even going to watch it. Just going to check the final score. But I just feel like the Jets. I'll side with the quarterback right now with Sam Darnold. Dwayne Haskins, I think in the future he could be a good NFL quarterback. But Callahan now is their interim coach, and he's kind of just been like, all right, we're going to throw this guy in now to see what he's got the rest of the way. And I just don't know about the culture right now with those Skins. I know that they're going to be at home. But I just feel like, now, I'm not going to be as optimistic as Sam Darnold does. I think the other day he said, well, if we win out, we'll make the playoffs. Well, if I had $1 million, I'd be a millionaire. You're not going to win out. But I do think their next 2 games are winnable spots for them, which might take some heat off of Adam Gase. He was starting to get some heat like Freddie Kitchens was. And I'll take the Jets getting 1.5. I think they'll win this game, and they're getting points. Yeah,
my fear with this one is, and why it's a stay away for me, is I just can't justify taking the Jets as a favorite on the road. They're one of it's kind of one of those principal things where if they lose this game, like, you can't be shocked by it.
No,
like even to the Redskins, like I like Dwayne Haskins, and but what we've heard about him is he's not ready, and he's kind of getting just thrust in there now because they have to see what they have in him, because they're going to be in position to either pick Tua or Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert. So don't feel great about either side in this game. But, yeah, I mean, the Jets are the more talented team. I think that is inarguable.
That's kind of what I was going with. So my 3 games, just to recap: Browns minus 2.5, Jets getting 1.5, Chargers on Monday Night Football getting 4 against the Chiefs. It's week 12 of college football, week 11 of the NFL. Ben, good luck.
Same to you.
Hopefully we'll have another get a winning week here and get us over the hump for the entire season. Thanks so much for watching us here on Chalk Talk.